Professor Sinclair is a longevity expert. He is somebody that's dedicated his life to researching what makes us healthy and live long, and they tend to go hand in hand. And so I thought it'd be fitting to find out what are some of the top things that he recommends for us to follow. Some things that are relatively straightforward and easy for us to follow that will give us not just a longer life, but a happier and healthier life, that we can have a high quality life and have it to its full. So let's go straight into it. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven, if you haven't met me already, and I'm going to go through the top 4 things that Professor Sinclair recommends and that he personally inputs into his daily routine and into his day, into his life, for longevity, for improving and boosting his health. And so going straight into the first one, and that is to do with exercise. And what he recommends is to lose your breath 3 times a week for 10 minutes. Now, losing your breath is pretty much defined as not being able to maintain a comfortable conversation with somebody as you're doing that particular exercise. You need to be out of breath enough while doing that exercise that you can maintain a conversation. So this could be if you're running or cycling, sprinting, if you're doing a certain sport. It doesn't really matter what you're doing. The main thing is you're losing your breath. And why this is important is because your heart rate is going to increase, your respiratory rate is going to increase. You're going to be breathing faster and your heartbeat is going to be going faster. You're basically going to be stressing these 2 systems, so your cardiovascular system and your respiratory system. And we know that whenever we stress a system in our bodies, provided we don't break it, it's going to make us stronger. And if we can make our heart and our respiratory system stronger, it's going to make our bodies more effective and efficient at pumping blood around your body, which is obviously super important. If this doesn't happen, we would die, because the blood is going to give your cells, every cell in your body, the nutrients and the oxygen that it needs to be able to survive and to be able to live. So the better it can do this, the better that's going to be for our health. And the same with our respiratory system. The more efficient we can breathe, the more oxygen that we can take in, and the more effectively we can do that. But it's also going to stress your tendons, your ligaments, and your muscles. And again, it's going to make them stronger, which is going to make you less likely to get injury. If you're less likely to get injury, particularly as you're getting older, then you can continue to keep moving. And we know that as soon as somebody, as they get older, stops moving, if you start to become wheelchair bound, this has really negative effects for your health, and the prognosis from that point on isn't as good as if you were able to keep on moving. So as you get older, it's really important that we keep moving, because we are designed to keep moving. But we also know that muscle mass, so if you can keep moving and exercising your muscles, you're going to keep them strong, and you're also going to keep a good amount of mass, because if your body senses that you don't need the muscle, it will start to shrink it. So we need to keep using it so that we have that strength. And the muscle mass itself is really good for your metabolism, because the sugar that is in your blood will be stored. One of the places it is stored is in your muscles. And the more muscles we have, the better and easier job your body has at storing the sugar in those muscles. And this is really important, and actually a big predictor for longevity and for health is the better your body can maintain a steady sugar level, because a dynamic or high or really low blood sugars, if you're constantly up and down like this, particularly in diabetics, has disastrous effects on your tissues. It damages tissues, and in this very worst case, could lead to death. Now, the second thing that he recommends is to do with the frequency of how much we're eating. I think in the West, we've particularly recently got very used to eating very frequently with a lot of snacks. And I've talked about this many times in previous videos about how much of a problem this is. And one of the reasons is because of this variability in your blood sugars, it's going to be much harder for your body to maintain blood sugars if you're constantly eating. And so what he recommends is to have a short eating window. So he recommends 8 hours, so that you're then fasting for 16 hours. And that might sound like a lot, but it's actually not that bad, because if you were to eat dinner at 6 and eat breakfast at 10 a.m, then that's an 8-hour eating window, which is actually relatively doable for most people. And you can obviously adjust that window depending on your own lifestyle, but this is what I also personally try to aim for. And it's also really important, the most important thing here is that you're not eating before 10 a.m. or after 6 p.m., which is something that I used to do quite a lot. It's eating after dinner and eating my breakfast quite early. Because if you can avoid eating anything at all that will raise your blood sugar, then you'll keep yourself in a fasted state and then maximize the benefits of fasting, which there are many of. The other thing you want to really make sure you do is don't snack in between each meal. And I have done a video that you can check out in the past on the benefits of not snacking. Now, to help you not snack, one of the things you're going to want to do is make sure that you have good quality meals that are high, particularly in fiber, fat, and protein. This will keep you full and nourished and not make you want to eat in between the meals. But the other thing is that because you're eating in a shorter window, your meals are actually closer together, which means you're going to feel more full until the next meal. So you're less likely to have periods where you're actually going to be hungry, where you're going to want to snack, and that's the aim. Number 3 is an interesting one. Now, Sinclair is, I believe, a vegetarian, or at least he doesn't eat meat. And so one of the things that he tries to do, and he eats as much of as he can, is plants that go under a lot of stress when they are being grown. And the reason for that is that the more stress a plant goes through when it's growing, the more polyphenols it's going to produce, which are super healthy for us and for our own health because of what they can do for boosting our health. And so generally, if you want to find foods that are high in polyphenols, it tends to be the plants that have the richest color and the deepest color. So for example, instead of going for an iceberg lettuce that is quite pale in color, it's actually very little nutrition in an iceberg lettuce, maybe go for like a purple cabbage, which is going to be much richer in that purple color. So generally, as a rule, if you want to know what foods are higher in polyphenols, look for the deeper and the richer colored plants. Now, he also recommends the Mediterranean diet, and I think it's mainly because it's high in fat and protein and fiber. It's very low in sugar and carbs, and we know that that's a particularly important thing for our health, is not eating much sugar or carbs, but having high fat and protein, because essentially your body can turn fat and protein into sugar. You don't actually need to intake sugar because your body can produce it itself. Sugar and glucose, of course, are very, very essential. Without it, we would not survive because we need it to fuel our bodies, but we don't actually need to take it in. And this comes on then to the last point, which is number 4, where Sinclair recommends cutting out sugar. And this is something that he also does. There's really no advantage for us to eat sugar besides the fact that it's going to give us a dopamine boost, which is going to make us feel good and feel pleasure when we're eating it. This is the only reason why really we have sugar. Sugar is not actually needed because your body can produce it itself. And actually, if your body can do that, it's going to be able to do it more effectively in regards to keeping and maintaining a more consistent sugar level in your blood. The problem is when we have a lot of sugar all at once, it's going to go straight into the blood and then the body has to clear it up. It's quite a stressful process, which it can be problematic if you're getting these highs and lows, and can be one of the reasons why you get these energy ups and downs across your day, but it's also associated with long-term disease. So cutting out sugar is a really, really good thing, and you'll see massive advantages to your own health, and what it can do to your health is actually amazing. And so much so, I've actually done a video on this recently on what happens to your body when you cut out sugar. So I would highly recommend you watch that next, which is just going to pop up in a second just there. But as normal, don't forget that in the description below, you can get 10% off Vivo barefoot shoes. These are minimalist shoes that I personally wear every day for health benefits. You can get a free bag of organic coffee. This is XL coffee, something that I drink every day that is absolutely delicious. You can also get 10% off Athanaze, which is a superfood specifically formulated for men, and lastly 15% off Fussy, which is a natural deodorant that doesn't have any of the harmful chemicals. These are all things that I personally have in my day, so I highly recommend them. Check out this video here. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video. Thanks for watching.